Hello, going live here. Anahita June, self-expression and leadership mentor to women worldwide, and this topic is just so on my heart. Had to really jump in here and do a spontaneous spontaneous training and jam and see who wants to come and talk about this. So important, because I really believe that we are at an incredible time and an incredible time of safety to really show our full selves. This is really for the men and the women, but really I know for women we have it's just been so many years of not feeling safe to be fully self-expressed in all that we are. And I know that men experience this too, actually, because I do talk to men who are having their own challenges of going to the next level in their own self-expression and their leadership, in terms of the level of soul authenticity that they bring to, that any of us bring to what we're doing, and the fact that we are just all so multifaceted, multi-layered, in a world that would rather have us be one-dimensional. Like, how can I define you? How can I put you in a box? How can I be comfortable with what you're showing me, versus the trust that it's really the unique and self-expression, the unique and full self-expression, that's the medicine that the world actually needs. So I'm really excited to talk about this. The first thing I want to say is that it's okay to be scared. It's okay to be scared. Those are the old patterns. They're what we've been taught. It's what we've witnessed. It's maybe even what we've experienced, that it wasn't safe. So it's okay to be scared. And then it's also really important to know that while there's a part of us that is scared, there is another part that knows that there is a spiritual mandate on a soul level to be fully set free and fully in self-expression of that authentic self. And so if we could hold both, then it can really help to not buy into the fear as like, I'm really not safe. And this isn't like something that we do consciously. It's just that we all have lead such busy lives. And unless we get really intentional about setting ourselves free on, like, as a multi-dimensional, multifaceted human being, it's not going to happen. All that's going to happen is that we're going to drag this weight and burden of feeling like we can't from place to place, and wishing we had just said that one more thing, and wondering, like, if that one thing about us comes out, like, is that gonna blow everything out of the water, and is that like gonna totally destroy our lives? I hear this one a lot, because, you know, it's one of the things that I'm so open about in my life is the years that I spent as an exotic dancer, and how critical that was for me as a Muslim raised woman to really set myself free and completely, like, just blow off the constructs of what I had been told was acceptable and virtuous as a woman. Now, here's the thing. Anytime that I share that with someone, whether it's they watch my TED Talk or TEDx Talk, or they read something, or we're having a conversation, I would say 90% of the women will say something to me whether it's a confession that they have danced as well, or that they are dancing currently, or that they always wish that they could. And, like, I mean, maybe more than 90%, it must be like 95%. And so the reason I'm saying this is that when I am so open about that, and it took me years to be open about it, okay? I won't pretend like it didn't. It took me years of leading a double life, like fully like the spiritual yoga teacher, and then this, like, you know, just the full expression of my primal self, and really even exploring a lot of my shadow. So it took me a long time to come into ownership of that. And what I'm talking about now is, like, when I shared how much feedback I get, how much permission I give to other people. And so if we don't, and here's the thing, it did keep me so bound. I knew that it had to come out. So if we don't focus intentionally on setting those parts free, and for everyone, it's something different. I mean, it could literally be as simple as, and this isn't even simple, but I feel like for so many of us right now that care so deeply about the state of the world and what's going on, and whether, like, what we see happening in organizations or in government or in families, in neighborhoods, I feel like so many of us care so deeply, but are so afraid to show the depth of our caring, like how deeply our hearts ache, to the point of not just to, like, go into compassion or go into empathy, but that, like, that is really bringing up some unique wisdom and unique medicine through what we see is not working, that is wanting to be expressed. And yet we're so afraid like so many are so afraid to actually share the depth of this love and the depth of this caring, because in a world that is not, has not been set up for that. So it's just really this, I see this so much. Maybe like in your immediate inner circles, you are sharing the depth of this caring, but that's not usually what's going to make the big change, because for each of us, moving through that barrier of resistance of what we haven't been able to show of ourselves is what's going to initiate us to be able to hold a different level of embodiment and permission for other people to then do the same thing. And this is really what we're all hungry for, right? Like just profound authenticity. And we can't do it unless we move through it. Like we can't give other people permission. No woman's going to tell me that she was a stripper or that wanted to be a stripper, except when I tell her that I was, or she finds out that I was. So whatever freedom you want to inspire in others, you can only do it to the degree in which you're willing to stand in it for yourself. So if you want others to really move through the stuff that they're dealing with in their families, if there's a lot of family drama and trauma, but you still have a lot of shame around your own family drama and trauma, then you're not going to be able to give that space of permission for them to share about it. The only way is for us to actually lay down the shame from whatever it is and stand in the fullness of it. And this applies on so many different levels. And it really is about taking the guards off our heart and knowing that we are safe. Like first and foremost, that we are safe in the arms of the divine, that we are so on purpose, that we are so on path, that we are so on point, that we are so freaking loved as we are. And then that allows the heart to open. And for me, this is still happening. I mean, there are still stages and stages of, as I deepen, really my work continues to deepen in this space of like the love of the Divine Mother in women's leadership and how they get to come together. And there's still places where I'm taking the barricades off my heart, where I notice who it's safe to share that with and who I decide isn't safe to share that with in that way, and how then I must make it sound more professional and take out the Divine Mother part, but it's a heart thing. It's like this opening that needs to happen here to know. And the safety comes from our relationship with the divine. And it also comes in, for women especially, we get to create this with each other, because I know there's so much fear out of those of you that I'm talking to around being judged by other women. And just not feeling safe, feeling like if you really fully come out of the closet, that you're going to sabotage your life and ruin so much of what you had. And there's different ways that this actually even ties into like spiritual development. Like I know in the beginning stages of spiritual development, when we first start to come out of victim consciousness and take responsibility, part of what can happen is that we can become, especially if you've lived a life of trauma, like I had, and many people that come to me have had, what can happen is when you come out of victim consciousness and you tap into your own resourcefulness and a sense of responsibility for your life as a creative adventure, what happens is, hi love, is that we just go into overprotection. So everything becomes about like, I'm protecting myself, right? That's in the beginning stages of spiritual development. Like, okay, I'm not a victim anymore. I'm responsible, but it's not really safe. And then as the spiritual development progresses, and this is such a trap, is this trap of spiritual superiority. Like thinking like whether you're part of a community or you're with a teacher who holds this air of like, oh, well, we have the answer, right? I've so been a part of these communities where you just start to think that you really have the answer. And so you become spiritually superior. And also what will happen is as you get more equipped in energetic discernment, you become obsessed. So if you start living in like your little bubble of what you think is the bubble of reality, that's not really allowing that deep soul medicine to have the impact that it needs to have, because you're curating your bubble. You're curating your experience based on what you feel is safe. And I even see this with like obsessive energetic hygiene. Like people who are versed in shamanism and really just, they're multidimensional beings and they really have access to the other realms, and they become so obsessive. And, I can definitely say I have been a part of that, of really becoming, holding that spiritual superiority of thinking that I knew as a place to hold people out, as a place to hold them out of my heart, as a place to feel like my conversation was this. It was, people have so much unprocessed shadow that they're just gonna like play it out on me, and I'm not interested in that. So I would just rather be alone. And I wasn't alone, I had community, but it was a very perfectly curated community. And it wasn't until I could really lay that down that my leadership and my impact could actually go to the next level, like big time, okay? So these are just really important keys for you to be aware of. And here's the thing, the authentic visibility at this time is a call for the light workers. That's really what it is. Even if you're doing your work at a very high level, I know that there are places where you are still yearning to set yourself free. Like, I know women who are rocking it, like in terms of growth and vulnerability and impact, and yet they could have just that one nugget that they are keeping in their pocket with, just like in shame and in lack of trust that they would be okay to share. Like, you could be rocking it in every way and have a legacy of like, you are the best in your field, and people refer people to you. And then, but you've never, like, nobody knows except your inner circle that you actually carry the codes of a sexual priestess, that you actually in this life lived a part of it as a Dakini, and that was a critical key to you being able to fully stand in your power and in ownership of your gifts. That's something that nobody knows. And if you are someone who has a lot of visibility, a lot of prominence, a lot of impact, well, guess what? You're not going to want to share that, because you have bought into that is going to ruin your reputation. It's going to it's going to make everything go away. It's going to affect your prospects for the future. And yet, that until you can stand in full ownership of that, you're not going to be free. That. You could be a leader in your faith community. You could be speaking to ministers and pastors and really well known in your faith community and really connected to that community, even though you really connect with other paths as also other paths of truth that have really helped you liberate. And so there's places where you don't hold it the way that your faith holds it. Your faith community holds certain things about yourself or your life, or have you overcome things. And these things stay in the shadows, they stay in the secrets. And it becomes this burden that then you're just carrying from place to place. And it's that's quite a burden. And it's also like not what we need. So it's like, I know when I talk about these really powerful women who are carrying these pieces, right? They're super successful, and then they're carrying these pieces. And a big part of it is actually the fear of being judged by other women. Like that, I know I was having a conversation with a client who was saying, well, if I knew that if I came out with this piece of myself, that women like you, and she knows she has me in her corner, but that women like you and all the other women would stand with me, I would come out. But it's that she doesn't trust that. That trust isn't there. And so that prevents her from fully allowing her heart to open to the safety and the love of the divine. But all these life experiences that we have had, all these pieces that we are holding in, they each carry like a code. It's really like this puzzle piece, right? And it's not until all of the pieces are fully claimed in ownership, standing in the light. You're not living in your bubble. I'm not talking about living in your bubble. I'm saying like to take full ownership of all these pieces and allow that to be a contribution, and allow it. The biggest contribution it's going to be, first and foremost, is that it's going to set you free. And it is you set free that we need, because we all need to see what fucking free humans look like. What it looks like to not be bought into shame, what it looks like to not be afraid, what it looks like to not be under self-protection. These are all like just these critical pieces. Even like to be visible as one who has it all. I mean, I was talking to another client who has it all, right? She has a really prosperous life and just a lot of opportunity. Like, she has a lot of privilege and a lot of opportunity to serve. And then the shame that she carries, has been carrying and is laying down currently around that privilege, right? And so it's like, no, just own the privilege and allow that to lean you into your leadership. Yeah, own the piece of you were a dakini and you lived a part of your life as that, and allow you sharing that to liberate women at such a deeper level of what you think you're doing right now. It's like, whatever is holding us hostage, whatever piece we're not fully revealing, is actually going to take the thing that we care the most about to another level. But it won't happen without fully going through it, right? It's like, you know, I work with so many amazing light workers, and this woman who really works with a lot of like big companies and corporate, and she used to be in corporate, but now she's out, and she's just like so afraid. She's like, if I just bring all this woo, like, what is going to happen? And it's like, it's what's going to take your work to the next level. It's what's going to take the impact to the next level. And so this fear of being judged by society, this fear of being judged by other women, these are so incredibly common. And yet they are the things that keep us from fully standing in the full self-expression. And I am talking full. And when I say full, like, I don't know what your full self-expression looks like. I just know that like almost 100% of the women that I speak to have this thing, a fear of full and authentic visibility. If you are a teacher on the path of the divine feminine, if you have created a body of work that's sitting in a computer or a notebook and you're not standing in full ownership of it, like that, you are not standing in the full ownership of your light and your magnificence and who you're here to be. So whatever it is that is needing to be taken into full ownership, that's the path that I'm inviting you to, because I want us to all remember it has never, ever been as safe as it is now. Ever. It has never been this safe. I mean, the conversations that I get to have with strangers, the conversations that I have like with my chiropractor, you know, the level at which we're able to expose ourselves and have it be safe, I want you to know that there's even more safety. There's even more divine love, like more than what you think. And it's really through the opening of the heart and allowing ourselves to remember this love that we get to just like, just show the whole thing, baby. And it doesn't mean, and you get to stand in the beauty of it all. And when I say beauty, like I really do mean like the full multifacetedness of it. I don't mean that you have no shadow. I don't mean that there are no wounds. I don't mean that there's no heartache. I don't mean that there's no jealousy or no competition. That is all a part of all of us. None of us are just like light. But that's what gives us texture. That's what keeps taking us around the spiral of development and pristine integrity and authenticity. Not just doing the thing to do the thing. Do the thing to set you free. So again, the fears are valid. They just cannot run the show. And I wanted to pop in here and share all of this and tell you this is some of the work, really powerful work that we do in Beauty Unleashed, because the container matters. It's not work. This is not work that is easily done like on your own. You can kind of do it with a therapist, but there's something so magnificent to come with other powerful women who are just laying it down, taking greater and greater ownership. They give you permission. We give each other permission to expose more. Like in one of my groups, I saw this woman, like she just really took some homework to heart and she like really went for it. We were doing some work around shame, which really is one of the catalysts for authentic self-expression, a powerful catalyst. And she went first. She like went bam. And I was like, yeah. Awesome. And because of that, like, guess what? Everybody started popping and everybody was like, and it's like, they're just like rocking out. So this piece of like, we give each other permission and a container by someone who has been there and who knows how to hold a container is really critical. And so this is the Beauty Unleashed program that I lead that starts exactly a month from today at our live retreat here in Colorado. It's a 6-month program. We start with a 3-day live retreat. We come back together in month 5 for 3 days. And then we integrate. You have lots of personal attention and an incredible connection with other women. And it's really just about standing in the full ownership of your magnificence and your light as a divine feminine leader, and all of the places where that plays out, how it plays out in your marriage, how it plays out with your work, how it plays out in your relationship with your body. Because for us women, it really, like, we just need all of the pieces. They're all critical. our ability to get our desires met in partnership, in intimate relationship, our relationships with our erotic self, like really like what truly turns us on, and then really going into the shadows and being witnessed as to what it takes, what it really takes to become liberated. And in that process of being witnessed, we are so healed. We are so healed when the container is one of trust and safety and permission and unconditional love. When you have other women looking at you with unconditionally loving eyes, saying, yes, more, show me more of that, show me more of that. You think that you're going to close your heart and you're going to shut down. And then you get to take what we create in there and take it out into the world. And so it's really a really powerful experience. Last time I ran this group, it ended up really quite actually like surprising me how powerful it was at the end, and the connections that these women, you know, they're in different parts of their journey, and how I know they're still connected and how they're supporting one another and really seeing what they're up to in the world and actually doing some of what I've talked about, like disrupting beliefs in faith systems and in corporate, in medicine, like, whoa, just really playing big. So this is my invitation to you. It's a 6-month journey. It is a high-level mentorship program. You get a lot of private attention from me, or personal attention from me. It's a group program. And then we get 6 in-person days together. And there's nothing that is not on the table. Embodied sexuality, creative leadership, the full excavation of the shadows, and what is ultimately going to set you free so that we can witness what the beauty of you set free is, and then sharing that with the world, because that's what the world is hungry for. So if you're interested, I'm gonna put a link to the application for the program in here, or if you know someone that this would serve, please share it with them. I'm just honestly so humbled and awed at how much support has been for this work, and how like the perfect women have been coming in so effortlessly, and some through the graduates, the referrals of the graduates of the program, and some just really knowing that this is what they need and this is what's time for. So just know you'll be in good hands. You can fill out an application. We can have a conversation and see if this is the next step of your evolution. Sending you lots and lots of love. This is just my absolute pleasure and privilege that I get to do this work. So many blessings, everyone. Bye.